The conflict has ended, yet victory resembles devastation. In the aftermath, a solitary fighter takes a moment to breathe. She stands alone, exhausted but still standing strong. In disbelief, she mutters about the brutality of her foes. Due to one adversary, many from the Demon King's forces manage to flee. Yet the Demon King lies dead, and humanity has triumphed. She faces the final general, known as the Black Ogre. She offers him parting words, then quickly rethinks her stance. In his last moments, he remembers the disdain from his own kind. A solitary tear falls, marking a life of servitude filled with regret. His last thought resonates in the stillness. He just wanted love. The warrior lifts her sword, poised to strike the final blow. Yet his vulnerability and final wish cause her to pause. He only desired one person to see him beyond being a weapon. In that instant, the hardened fighter sees not a beast, but a man. Her grip on the sword tightens, her determination solidifying. With one decisive cut, the conflict reaches its conclusion. Time flows, and we transition to a tranquil forest. Classic storytelling. A new hand reaches out, searching for mushrooms in the serene woods. But tranquility is fleeting as two elves discuss a looming danger: orc bandits. The elven warrior explains that orcs typically fall to village guards. However, these bandits are different, having already decimated 5 villages. Her companions finally comprehend the seriousness of the situation. The young boy panics, urging them to retreat for safety. The warrior, however, responds with a confident grin, hand resting on her hilt. In a swift motion, her blade is drawn. She shouts the name of her attack, a whirlwind forming around her. With a single fluid motion, she swings her sword. A massive tree splinters, a casual demonstration of her overwhelming power. The boy gazes in awe at his sister's might, and honestly, so do we. Her companion is less than thrilled, chastising her for harming the forest. The boy attempts to clarify that she was merely trying to comfort them, but their exchange is interrupted by a deep rumbling noise. The ground shakes as something enormous approaches through the trees. A gigantic hand suddenly crashes into the ground right in front of them. From the clearing emerges a massive boar-like creature of great strength. Its glowing eyes fixate on them. This is no ordinary orc bandit. The warrior quickly pushes her companions behind her, bracing for combat. She proclaims their luck has run out. She was sent to stop them. Dashing forward, she unleashes a new attack, the Wind Edge Cross. The beast is briefly taken aback, its eyes wide with shock. It plants its feet firmly, preparing against the fierce wind. The impact sends a shockwave ripping through the nearby forest. We recall a flashback of another hero whose fiery sword shattered against its hide. And just like that hero, our elven warrior's blade proves utterly useless. The creature stares back, its glowing eyes completely unfazed. The warrior clenches her teeth, sweat trickling down her brow. This isn't just any bandit. But then, the beast does something entirely unexpected. It extends its enormous hands, revealing a small, injured human girl. So much for the terrifying monster act. It's actually pleading for help. The creature's eyes are filled with desperation as it begs them to rescue the child. It bows before the warrior, a once mighty beast, humbled by an act of compassion. The focus shifts away from the turmoil of the forest. They reach a serene village, a potential sanctuary for healing. The group heads toward what appears to be a local medical facility. Inside, shelves are stocked with various remedies and elixirs. The injured girl lies in a bed, her guardian vigilantly watching over her. Yet she's burning with fever, trapped in the clutches of a fierce illness. Naturally, the elf recognizes the affliction, the dreaded black fever. The boy poses the obvious question: how did the orc even find her? The elf explains that the orc is locked away in the village dungeon. A tired elder elf confirms that the cage is unbreakable by mere beasts. With a steely gaze, she asserts that only she will determine the creature's fate. The warrior is taken aback, questioning why they wouldn't simply execute it, but the elder's word is law, leaving the warrior in turmoil. Her thoughts drift back to her father, who promised to return from battle. A tear escapes as she concedes, the pain of loss still raw. With the issue settled for now, the elder and her aide prepare to depart. Their focus must now shift to crafting a remedy for the ailing child. Yet, the assistant ponders why an orc would risk everything for a human. The warrior's expression changes, a sudden realization dawning on her. The elder unveils a startling revelation: the sick child is not human. Meanwhile, a grim scene unfolds in the village dungeon. The warrior and her brother rush toward the holding cells. Her companion is horrified, understanding the beast's impact on the village. An angry mob of villagers gathers, demanding the creature's execution. The boar-like beast kneels, pierced by arrows from the guards. Alicia arrives, demanding to know what's going on. But the villagers only shower her with praise, completely missing the point. The elder arrives, declaring the beast too dangerous to remain alive. Ignoring its own suffering, the creature only asks if the child will survive. Alicia is left speechless. This doesn't sound like a monster. But the villagers are unmoved, smashing a rock against its head. They curse its unnatural resilience as their weapons fail to inflict real harm. The mob's anger intensifies, calling for heavier arms to finish the job. Alicia attempts to intervene, reminding them of the elder's explicit order. But her pleas go unheard. The crowd is only thirsting for blood. One villager even steps forward, eager to deliver the fatal blow herself. Mob mentality at its finest. Suddenly, the creature's body erupts with a bizarre, crackling energy. As Alicia screams for them to halt, a metal gauntlet emerges from the beast. A surge of energy blasts outward, sending villagers staggering. The woman's weapon slips from her grip, clattering against the stone floor. She screams in fury, revealing that demons killed her family during the war. She turns her wrath on Alicia, questioning her hesitation and shame. Alicia is torn, her thirst for revenge clashing with her moral compass. The metallic hand that emerged from the beast tightens into a fist. A single desperate question lingers in the air, demanding a response. Disregarding its own fate, the creature inquires about the child. Its only concern is whether the little girl will be rescued. He pleads with her, insisting that his life is insignificant, only hers matters. Alicia is at a loss for words, questioning why he would give up so much for a single child. Their tense standoff is abruptly interrupted by a loud disturbance from outside. Explosions and screams echo through the streets, reaching the villagers. Alarm spreads across Alicia and her friends as they turn to face the noise. She instructs her brother Crest to remain behind in safety. Without a moment's pause, she and the other elves dash out of the dungeon. They step into a village overrun by armed orc raiders. The elves quickly deduce that the captured creature must have summoned this horde. Alicia doesn't waste time assigning blame. She resolves to confront the danger directly. She charges forward, a solitary warrior against a wave of monstrous adversaries. Alicia unleashes her Tempest Blade, but her magic is swiftly extinguished. The orc horde remains steadfast, completely unfazed by her power. In disbelief, she realizes her ultimate attack has been rendered ineffective. From the shadows of the horde, a more sinister figure steps forward. A skeletal hand methodically counts its targets one by one. The true leader reveals itself, a lich, thrilled to find so many elves. It's on the hunt for the village witch, and elves seem to be in high demand. At its command, the orc bandits unleash a thunderous war cry. Meanwhile, in the relative calm of the village dungeon, Crest observes the caged creature, realizing these are the bandits his sister warned him about. Crest stands alone, pondering what he should possibly do next. The creature's glowing eyes lock onto the small elf boy. Its enormous hand, still partially clad in armor, reaches out toward him. The beast looms over Crest, its terrifying presence magnified up close. Suddenly, the metal gauntlet shatters and falls away. Crest can only gawk, his mind short-circuiting at the sight. With a roar, it bends the cage bars. So much for being unbreakable. Fear paralyzes the boy, his sister's warning echoing in his thoughts. The hand reaches through the bars, its intentions unmistakable. Crest shuts his eyes, bracing for the inevitable end. But the fatal strike never comes. Instead, a gentle hand pats his head. Crest can only look up in stunned silence at the massive creature. The beast promises to return soon, its voice laced with grim determination. Outside, the battle for the village has already been lost. Alicia stands alone, the final barrier against the lich and its horde. Exhausted, her magic proves ineffective against this new, terrifying foe. The lich raises a bony finger, uttering the name of a potent curse. In an instant, an overwhelming force slams Alicia into the ground. She cries out in pain, pinned and helpless beneath the crushing weight. The lich appears almost bored, finding it distasteful to lead mere orc bandits. She realizes this is a high-ranking demon, impervious to both magic and physical attacks. The last of the village guards are encircled, their will to fight utterly shattered. But a sudden blur of movement catches everyone off guard. Even the lich turns, its empty sockets questioning the unexpected disturbance. From the dust and chaos, a familiar hulking figure steps into view. Alicia can only stare in disbelief. It's the creature from the dungeon, somehow free. Now it stands between the lich and the fallen elves, an unlikely protector. The Lich notes that this newcomer isn't one of its orc bandits, demanding to know his origin. The creature remains silent, its gaze fixed with intense, burning focus. The Lich's expression sours, clearly displeased with uninvited guests. With a snap of its fingers, the Lich unleashes a devastating spell known as Supernova. A colossal explosion erupts, engulfing the area where the creature once stood. The force of the blast propels a plume of smoke and debris skyward. It proclaims that disregarding a high-ranking demon is a grave error. Yet from the smoke, the creature appears unscathed. The Lich's jaw drops in shock, its confidence utterly shattered. Even Alicia is left speechless, unable to comprehend how he survived such potent magic. The Lich screams in disbelief, unwilling to accept the reality before it. In desperation, it unleashes a barrage of smaller magical projectiles, but the attacks merely fizzle against his impossibly resilient skin. The Lich demands to know the identity of this challenger, its voice trembling with rage. Its mind races, piecing together the horns, the dark skin, the incredible toughness. A terrifying realization begins to dawn on the formidable demon. It screams a name, a legendary title, the Black, but it never completes that thought. A single brutal punch lands, reducing the Lich's skull to dust. The high-ranking demon is sent hurtling away, its body a crumpled ragdoll mess. So much for being a high-ranking demon as it skids across the ground like a pebble. Its shattered form finally comes to a halt, leaving a deep scar in the earth. The orc bandits can only gawk, their leader taken down in a single strike. He turns to the remaining orcs, delivering a straightforward message: get lost. The bandits stand frozen in fear, their bravado completely evaporated. With frantic squeals, the entire horde turns and flees the village. They trample everything in their path, desperate to escape his fury. With the grunts dealt with, he shifts his focus back to the fallen elf warrior. He gently asks Alicia if she's okay, his tone surprisingly soft. She can only stare, puzzled as to why this monster just saved her. But then, without warning, the massive creature collapses to the ground. Turns out tanking a supernova isn't exactly easy. Just then, the Elder and her assistant arrive to witness the aftermath. The Elder's assistant explains that after countless battles, he has become a legend. She confirms his identity, Zaid, the black ogre who once fought the hero to a standstill. But then, a familiar armored figure steps forward, sword raised high. With a thunderous crash, she brings her blade down upon the fallen creature. The sword strikes true, but it's not a fatal blow. Zaid looks up confused, asking why she won't just finish him off. Instead of a reply, a single tear drops onto his face. He asks her why she is crying. It's the human warrior from the Great War, tears streaming down her cheeks. She whispers that it's because, in the end, they are both the same. Zaid can only look up, questioning her claim that they are alike. She explains that she too was valued solely for her immense strength. As the world's only hero with angelic blood, she was never seen as anything but a weapon. Wiping away a tear, she discovers a new resolve in their shared suffering. As the sun sets on their past lives, she makes a sudden life-changing choice. She turns to him with a radiant smile and makes a bold proposal. He will be her husband. Zaid can only stare back, his mind seemingly gone. His thoughts swirl in a chaotic storm of confusion. She interprets his stunned silence as a yes, a confident smile gracing her face. With the decision made, she tells him it's time to get back on his feet. She drives her sword into the earth, marking the life she's leaving behind. Daria, the hero, was famous for one thing: her incredible strength. Now she's channeling that same fierce spirit to map out their future without his say. With pride, she unveils their new abode, a charming little fixer-upper in the middle of nowhere. Zaid receives a fishing rod. His days as a general are officially over. He trails behind her on their next escapade, questioning why he's even going along. But her tears linger in his mind, reflecting his own pain back at him. He grasped her solitude and promised never to let her feel that way again. From that moment forward, all he wished for was to see her smile. From the remnants of conflict, something new starts to blossom. She discovers simple joys in their new life, glad he finally has a reason to smile. Even a small bouquet of flowers becomes a treasured gift between them. Her smile in return is the only reward he's ever truly needed. He takes pride in being the one who brings her such genuine joy. That night, they sit together beneath a vast sky filled with stars. Daria points at a shooting star, asking if he knows the old tale. She explains that wishes made on one are destined to come true. Her elf mentor even taught her how to use one to create a cure. casual. Zaid turns to her, inquiring if she has a wish she wants to make. For the first time, the hero contemplates what she truly wants for herself. She looks down, her face unexpectedly turning serious. Then she meets his eyes, her wish finally voiced. She wants to have a child with him. Zaid's mind goes blank, struggling to comprehend this sudden, life-changing request. Yet their bond is undeniable, a connection forged in the quiet aftermath of conflict. He realizes this is the belonging he has sought throughout his lonely existence. But their tranquil life shatters in an instant when Daria suddenly falls gravely ill. Zaid can only watch over her, helpless as her health swiftly declines. He fears the worst. Knowing a child between an angel-blooded human and a demon is impossible. But Daria meets his concern with a faint but resolute smile, pledging to protect their child. Her determination is unwavering. In her heart, she is already a mother. With each passing day, Daria weakens, pouring her life into their unborn child. And against all odds, a healthy baby girl enters the world. Zaid cradles his daughter for the first time, a bittersweet moment of new beginnings. But the price of this miracle was everything. Daria's life was slipping away. With her final breaths, she urges Zaid to show their daughter, Noah, the world. She refuses to let their child's life be confined to this lonely forest. She wants Nonoha to witness its beauty and choose her own path, free from fate. With unwavering resolve, Zaid embraces her last wish. A faint, serene smile appears on her lips, her duty finally fulfilled. She reaches out one last time, asking him to hold her hand. He cradles their daughter, a promise forged in the shadow of sorrow. With her last breath, Daria apologizes for having to leave him behind. Thus, the world's greatest hero is laid to rest in a simple, quiet grave. Her final words resonate in his mind, freeing him from any obligation to her memory. She insists someone will find him because her husband is the most handsome man alive. She had very particular tastes. With a silent promise, Zaid embraces his new role as a father, and so he embarks on his journey, a vow to a ghost and a future for his child. This brings us back to the present at the Elf Village Clinic. He's startled by a sudden noise, a reminder of how out of place he feels here, because his daughter, Nonoha, is now burning with a dangerous fever. Zaid's eyes widen in panic as he whispers his daughter's name. The elder elf reassures him that Noah will be all right, thanks to a high elf's panacea. Her assistant is still processing the shock. The legendary hero had a child with a demon. Zaid is stunned by their unexpected awareness of his history. The elder reveals she used magic to glimpse his memories, offering a rather straightforward apology. Her assistant smirks, noting that caution is essential when dealing with his kind. The elder recounts his adventures, traveling tirelessly, facing a mob, and enduring powerful spells. She sinks into a chair, drained just thinking about his incredible stamina. So much for elven endurance. Zaid stands before them, a figure radiating immense power and unwavering loyalty. With quiet intensity, he expresses his gratitude for saving his daughter's life. The elder dismisses his thanks, having just one question for him. She inquires why he clings to the child who cost the hero her life. Zaid responds plainly, stating he never viewed Noah as a burden. He explains that he is merely a simple orc, not one for profound thoughts. All these complex questions are simply beyond his grasp. He only recalls that the ever-determined Daria waited for his answer just once. He gave it without a second thought because she had given him everything in return. Well, maybe with a bit of hesitation, his mind was basically mush at that moment. Now his purpose is clear. He will raise Noah as her father. He turns back to the elder, declaring that this child is their cherished treasure. The elder is profoundly touched, as indicated by her complete lack of expression. Her thoughts drift to a memory of a young Daria, brimming with wonder. As her mentor, she had asked the young hero what her true desires were. The young Daria had paused, genuinely contemplating the question, but with a cheerful grin, she simply called it a secret. Back in the present, the elder unexpectedly invites Zaid to stay. She explains that the village lost many of its inhabitants in the final war. In these uncertain times, she wishes for him to remain as their protector. Zaid can only stare, his mind spinning from the unexpected offer. She adds that Nonoha's illness isn't merely fatigue. She needs to stay. The elder explains that by staying, Nonoha will experience a broader world. But Zaid declines, fearing his presence will only bring trouble to the village. The elder seems to accept his choice with a weary sigh. Then she casually mentions the cost of the cure, 100 million gold. Zaid's mind short-circuits again, unable to comprehend the outrageous sum. She clarifies that a panacea crafted by the world's sole high elf isn't exactly affordable. Her assistant adds that if he can't pay, he'll have to work off the debt. Zaid finds himself ensnared in a financially devastating trap. Checkmate, you clever elven schemers. With a defeated groan, he realizes he has no other options. Just then, a small voice calls out as Nono finally stirs from her fever. With a bright smile, Nonoa declares that she's hungry. Zaid's entire world narrows to the sight of his daughter, safe and sound. He gently places a massive hand on her head, a gesture of pure relief. Nonoa radiates simple joy, a balm for his weary soul. With his resolve firm, he accepts the elder's terms and agrees to stay. They're given a new home, a slightly dilapidated house on the village's edge. It's not much, but it's a place to call their own, a fixer-upper, to be generous. After a long day of labor, Zaid collapses on the floor, utterly spent. But Noah sleeps soundly in her bed, finally safe from danger. And for the first time in ages, Zaid drifts off with a smile. The next morning, Nonoa wakes, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She surveys her surroundings, bewildered by the unfamiliar environment. Then it dawns on her. They've settled into their new, somewhat run-down house. A butterfly flits in through a gap in the wall, a tiny sign of vitality. It glides through the air, completely captivating the young girl's attention. Her expression brightens with pure, innocent delight at the simple sight. The butterfly then floats over to her father, who is still peacefully asleep on the floor. It gently perches on his nose, a fragile visitor on a massive canvas. This, of course, triggers a thunderous sneeze. So much for a tranquil morning. Nanoha can only watch as her moment of wonder is utterly shattered. Zed is propelled backward by the sheer force of his own sneeze. A powerful roar escapes him, rattling the very structure of their home. And just like that, their new abode is reduced to a heap of splinters. So much for that security deposit. Meanwhile, two elves stroll through the serene forest. Alicia and her companion chat about the village's newest and largest inhabitant. Back at the clinic, the elder assigns her assistant, Estelle, a new responsibility. Estelle is tasked with guiding Zaid and instructing him on the village's customs, much to her annoyance. The rumor has already spread as Alicia's friend shares the unbelievable tale. She points out that Zaid defended them all, hinting he might not be as terrifying. But Alicia remains skeptical, deeming her friend overly optimistic. She confesses that many, herself included, still doubt the elder's choice. But their discussion is abruptly interrupted by a sudden thunderous crash resonating from the village. They both turn sharply, curious about what could have caused such a noise. Alicia's eyes widen in fear, dreading that the orc is on a rampage. Without hesitation, the two elves dash toward the source of the disturbance. They arrive not to a battle, but to a scene of utter devastation. The two can only gawk at the rubble where a house once stood. Alicia is appalled, realizing it was the orc's new residence that has been wrecked. The last remnants of the structure collapsed to the ground. Well, that was a brief mortgage. Amid the debris, Zaid scratches his head sheepishly while Nanoha bursts into laughter. Nonoa finds the entire situation utterly amusing, rolling around in the rubble. Alicia's friend seeks an explanation, trying to comprehend the chaos. With a huge grin, Noah explains that her dad sneezed the house apart as one does. The two elves are left speechless. Their greatest fear morphs into sheer bewilderment. Zaid stands over the wreckage while Nonoa hides behind his leg, the humor of the moment fading. She peeks out anxiously, realizing they have company. Alicia still appears wary, questioning if they are merely squatters in their own ruins. Zaid gently pats his daughter's head, offering silent comfort. He tells Nonoa that these are the individuals who healed her sickness. He then encourages her to properly greet the elves who saved her life. With determination, Nonoa asserts that she can do it. But she's still just a little girl, nervously standing beside her father's leg. Taking a deep breath, she introduces herself as Nonoa, age 4. She then performs a surprisingly formal bow, catching the elves off guard. The two are instantly disarmed, their suspicion dissolving in a wave of adorableness. Alicia's friend compliments her manners, introducing herself as Estelle and her sister, Alicia. Estelle offers a friendly smile, welcoming the little girl to the village. Nanu's face brightens, her simple joy utterly contagious. Even the stoic Alicia can't help but blush. Her warrior resolve completely crumbled. Turns out her biggest weakness wasn't a demon lord, but a polite 4-year-old. Alicia snaps at her sister, questioning how she could be so easily charmed. Her grip on the hilt tightens, pledging to stay alert against any lurking danger. Estelle clarifies that the elder has assigned her the task of guiding them through the woods. Her face is resolute, leaving no space for disagreement. Zaid stands poised, a silent behemoth awaiting orders. He nods quietly, embracing his new position without uttering a word. Their path leads them into the aptly named Forest of Blessings. The two elves take the lead, with Zaid and Nonoa closely trailing. Estelle starts to share insights about elven culture, a society in tune with nature. She outlines their hunting principles, a framework based on respect and equilibrium. Nonoa excitedly spots a rabbit, and Estelle agrees it's undeniably cute. But then Noah mentions its tasty brain, causing Estelle to break into a sweat. Shifting topics, Estelle clarifies that while hunting is limited, foraging is completely acceptable. She guides them to a clearing brimming with various wild mushrooms. Alicia decides to challenge Zaid, asking if he can identify which of two mushrooms is toxic. Zaid examines the fungi, giving them a serious once-over. Then, to the elf's horror, he simply eats both. He calmly states that both are safe to eat, while Alicia insists one is lethal. Estelle panics, yelling that one of those mushrooms has enough poison to kill a bear. But Alicia suddenly remembers an old tale about orcs being immune to toxins. Zaid explains that he can consume anything, but he wants Nonoa to learn what's safe. Alicia is taken aback by his straightforward paternal request. Her demeanor hardens as she agrees to instruct them properly. Thus begins their unexpected lesson in elven foraging. However, their serene stroll through the forest isn't going unnoticed. Two other elves lurk in the shadows, their expressions twisted with disdain for the demon. Nono's first encounter with wild berries is a sour, puckering experience. Estelle then guides them to an orchard, a much sweeter option. They even stumble upon a field of flowers, where Zaid is compelled to embrace his youthful side. He looks ecstatic. As days go by, the seasons start to shift in the elven realm. Their adventure ultimately brings them to the banks of a crystal-clear river. Estelle proposes they pause for lunch as the river teems with fish. Nanoha dashes ahead, completely at ease with her new elven companions. She turns to her father, asking him to catch something for their meal. The elves look puzzled, wondering how an orc intends to fish. Without saying a word, Zaid steps into the chilly, rushing water. He raises a massive hand, gearing up for an unconventional fishing technique. His eyes shine with an intense, almost frightening focus. With a thunderous roar, he slams his fist into the river. Why bother with a fishing rod when you can just dominate the river? The shockwave stuns every fish nearby, leaving them floating helplessly. Estelle is astonished by the enormous haul, while Alicia wonders if an orc can even cook. Zaid turns around, declaring the meal is ready with grim satisfaction. He presents his signature creation, the Stargazy Hamburg. Yes, that's a thing now. It's a patty of minced fish, bones included, with heads sticking out for flair. The two elves can only scream in sheer, unfiltered culinary horror, but Nonoa proudly offers the dish to Alicia, urging her to enjoy. Alicia receives the plate, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated dread. She forces a smile, sweating profusely as she gazes at the monstrous meal. Nonoa beams, eagerly waiting for her to take the first bite. Alicia tries her hardest to appear grateful, but her smile radiates pure, unfiltered agony. Summoning the bravery of a battle-hardened warrior, she takes a decisive bite. Her body instantly rebels, trembling as she fights to swallow. The sensation of crushed bones and the pungent taste of fish entrails overwhelms her. She turns to Zaid, asserting that his creation can't be classified as cooking. Estelle gasps in horror, declaring this an affront to existence itself. Zaid is utterly shocked. His signature dish clearly isn't a hit. Yet Nonoa munches away happily, inquiring if they find it tasty. Estelle desperately tries to inform the girl that her taste buds have been misled. Taking control, she announces her intent to prepare a proper meal and instructs Zaid to fetch more fish. Estelle shows how to clean and prepare the fish correctly. She blends wild herbs and spices, crafting a fragrant marinade. The fillets are seasoned with care, soaking up the elven flavors. She grills them over the flames, achieving a perfectly crispy skin. With a final flourish, the meal is ready at last. The outcome is a culinary masterpiece, herb-grilled trout fit for royalty. Nonoa gazes at the dish, her mind struggling to grasp this new reality. Her eyes glimmer with hunger, a droplet of drool escaping. So much for loyalty to Dad's cooking. Estelle beams as she presents the dish, even Alicia captivated by the enticing aroma. Nonoa dives in without hesitation, devouring the delectable fish. Her entire perception shifts, transformed by the simple notion of flavor. A shocking realization hits her. Her father's cooking was, in truth, dreadful. Zaid is equally astonished, his culinary pride crumbling in an instant. Nonoa forsakes all loyalty, relishing the well-cooked meal with enthusiasm. The plate is left spotless, a testament to Estelle's expertise. With a blissful tear, Nonoa exhales a sigh of complete contentment. The inevitable food coma strikes, and she collapses on her father's lap. The elves can only smile, noting how much the little girl has consumed. With their tour concluded, Estelle suggests it's time to return to the village. Zaid carries his slumbering daughter as they navigate home through the woods. As they stroll through the forest, Zaid carries his sleeping daughter, lost in thought. He quietly apologizes for his rather unconventional cooking skills. Alicia glances back, puzzled by his sudden and unexpected apology. His thoughts drift back to Daria, who always seemed to enjoy his meals. Turns out the hero had a very particular taste, favoring fresh innards over bland army rations. Estelle is the one who feels remorse, guilty for dismissing his culture so hastily. Zaid gazes down at his sleeping daughter, a newfound determination igniting in his eyes. He acknowledges that as an orc, he can't raise Nonoa as a proper human alone. Yet he knows she has human blood and deserves the opportunity to embrace that life. The two elves are left speechless, hearing the heart of a genuine father. He asks Alicia to guide him in human ways, from their cuisine to their attire. He wants Nono to have the option to grow up knowing both of her worlds. Estelle eagerly agrees, reminding them that they are all villagers now. But Alicia's expression darkens, her mind drifting back to a painful memory. She recalls her father's promise to return from the war, a promise he never fulfilled. She clenches her teeth, muttering about how selfish it was for him to abandon them. Zaid senses the abrupt change in her demeanor, his worry intensifying. Alicia's sorrow finally erupts into pure, unfiltered rage. She yells at Zaid, accusing him of being responsible for her father's death. Well, that escalated quickly. The sudden outburst jolts Nonoha awake, her eyes wide with terror. Nonoa's eyes widen in fear, the joyful moment completely shattered. The accusation lingers, creating an abrupt divide between them. The young girl starts to sob, terrified by the sudden aggression. Yet Alicia is also in tears, her fury ignited by profound sorrow. She stands firm, every fiber of her being ready for a long-desired confrontation. Estelle quickly intervenes, apologizing for scaring the little one. She attempts to convey Alicia's suffering, reminding him that her father was once a child too. Zaid listens intently, his expression inscrutable but his attention unwavering. At last he speaks, realizing how invaluable that lost father was to her. But Nonoa can only cling to her father, overwhelmed by the raw emotion. Later, beneath the looming shadow of a far-off snow-capped peak, Alicia sits in solitude within the forest, burdened by her choices. She murmurs that she's the worst, feeling ashamed of her outburst before a child. Yet her sister's voice breaks the stillness, attempting to provide comfort. Suddenly, a group of somber villagers encircles them. Alicia is taken aback, demanding to know the reason for their gathering. One of the elves confesses they had been plotting to kill him in the woods. The chilling admission leaves Alicia utterly speechless. The woman from the dungeon mob cries out, her own family lost to the demon war. However, the lead elf confesses that ultimately they couldn't bring themselves to strike. Alicia's expression softens, her fury giving way to stunned understanding. He explains that after observing Zaid with his daughter, they recognized his love. Tears brim in Alicia's eyes, her own sorrow reflected in his devotion. Another villager admits they saw their own struggles in him, a father shielding his child. Lost and filled with shame, they ask what their next steps should be. Alicia gazes at them, her determination solidifying into a new form of leadership. She covers her face, overwhelmed by the burden of her own biases. Taking a deep breath, she urges the villagers to hear her out. Later, the sun rises over the distant snow-capped summits. Zaid and Nonoa stand side by side, waiting at the forest's edge. Nonoa glances up in surprise, curious about the commotion at the wood's edge. Before them stands their home, miraculously restored from the wreckage. Zaid observes that only the exterior has been completed thus far. A group of villagers, led by Alicia, explains that the interior remains unfinished. Nonoa instinctively hides behind her father, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the crowd. She peeks out timidly, uncertain about all the attention. Alicia steps forward, her voice heavy with regret as she apologizes for her outburst yesterday. The other elves follow suit, admitting they too were at fault. They present the house as a symbol of their gratitude and a formal welcome to the village. The lead elf requests that he accept their gesture of reconciliation. Zaid's gaze is piercing as he questions if they can genuinely forgive him. Alicia is taken aback, wondering if he is referring to her specifically. Surrounded by her people, she confesses that she simply doesn't have the answer. But she clarifies they didn't want to be adults who curse a parent in front of a child. Nanoha watches, her wide eyes absorbing every single word. A villager offers them a place to stay with the elder while the house is being rebuilt. Another promise is to construct a home that's completely sneeze-proof this time. Zaid remains silent as Nanoha continues to hide behind his leg. But then, the little girl finds her voice and steps forward to capture their attention. With a beaming smile, she shouts her gratitude for fixing their home. Alicia bows deeply, utterly overwhelmed by the child's sincere, heartfelt thanks. The villagers stand by, their biases dismantled by Nanoa's pure heart. Estelle's face lights up, tears welling as she witnesses this unexpected moment of togetherness. With gratitude and apologies exchanged, the villagers begin constructing their new home. Zaid finds himself assigned to gather firewood, a trivial task for someone of his immense power. He effortlessly snaps a thick log in two with his bare hands, no axe needed. He discards the pieces, his movements precise and almost robotic. The kindling pile rises rapidly, looks like winter won't be chilly for them. Two elves, once his adversaries, observe from a safe distance. They're amazed, admitting he works with the speed and might of 10 elves combined. The elves request Zaid's assistance to help transport building supplies. Zaid exhales a tired sigh. His day of hard labor is clearly not over. Yet he complies, lifting an entire stack of logs onto his shoulders effortlessly. The two elves can only stare, astonished by his monstrous yet almost humorous strength. One elf grins, realizing that with Zaid's aid, the rebuilding process will be a breeze. However, their efforts haven't escaped the notice of a small, curious onlooker. It's Cress, Alicia's younger brother, gazing at the giant with wide, innocent eyes. He approaches Zaid, his voice trembling with quiet admiration. The boy recalls the battle, the moment Zaid single-handedly took down the Lich. With determination, Cress declares he wants to emulate Zaid when he grows up. He asks Zaid to mentor him, eager to uncover the secret behind his strength. Zaid turns, his expression suddenly fierce and intimidating. The boy is instantly frightened by the intense, almost primal glare, yet Zaid is merely puzzled, while Cress becomes a flustered, blushing mess. The boy retreats, realizing he's still too intimidated to approach the giant. At that moment, a group of villagers calls out to Zaid, breaking the tension. The one-eyed elf explains they've spotted signs of a dangerous creature during their patrol. He describes a fearsome beast known as a greed grizzly, whose lair is nearby. Another elf adds that this creature isn't native, likely a stray from a northern dungeon. The seasoned warrior grimly states that a single one could devastate the forest's ecosystem. The elf acknowledges that while Alicia is their usual choice, Zaid is the only one who can ensure a swift victory. Without missing a beat, Zaid simply agrees to tackle the issue. The elves encourage him to proceed, assuring him they'll manage the lumber. But from the shadows of the trees, Cress observes the entire conversation unfold. He and another elf boy are practically buzzing with excitement at the news. Cress is resolute. He absolutely must witness the legendary orc in action. He hesitates briefly, knowing his sister would be furious if he ventured out alone, but he steels himself, deciding he can't be strong if he fears the woods. With his mind set, he dashes after his new hero to learn the ways of strength. Yet another pair of eyes has caught sight of his pursuit, Nunoa, watching with quiet concern. Nunoa's eyes widen as a brilliant idea strikes her. She explains to Cress's friend that her dad is merely playing a game of statues. With that resolved, she declares her desire to play too and races into the woods. Meanwhile, Cress notices an eerie silence has fallen over the forest. Zaid halts in a clearing, his entire being on high alert. His eyes shimmer, senses probing for the unseen threat. He discovers his first clue, a massive boulder torn apart by colossal claws. Cress watches from the trees, stunned by the sheer might of the beast. Zaid understands now. This explains why the forest creatures are all in hiding. So he settles on the rock to wait, casually reading a letter, as one does. But it's not a letter he's perusing, it's a small, neatly organized case. Cress observes from the trees, certain that Orc is concocting a hidden weapon. The boy's thoughts race, trying to imagine the legendary weapon about to be revealed. Zaid produces two slender sticks, definitely not swords. Cress's jaw drops as the famed warrior begins to knit serenely in the woods. He recalls Estelle's words, Knitting is an unexpectedly handy skill. Zaid works with diligence, his large hands moving with surprising finesse. Cress is utterly perplexed, watching him treat the beast as if it were his living room. He remembers the stories, a grizzly whose claws can tear through iron and whose hide repels cannonballs. Suddenly, a rustle in the tall grass announces the approach of their lethal target. A small rabbit cautiously peeks out from the tall grass. Instead of a monster, it discovers Zaid knitting calmly, surrounded by other creatures. Birds and squirrels gather around him, completely unafraid of the giant. Cress is confused, wondering why the animals are suddenly coming out of hiding. Zaid remains entirely focused, his face reflecting quiet concentration. The boy realizes the animals aren't scared, they're depending on Zaid for safety. He sees not a monster, but a figure of calm, reliable strength. In that instant, Crest feels he's witnessing the essence of manhood. But his moment of contemplation is shattered by a familiar, mischievous face. Ninua leaps in, declaring her victory and breaking the forest's tranquil silence. Cress is flustered, demanding to know why Nonoa is following him. She explains that she saw him playing a game with her dad and wanted to join in. The boy is bewildered, realizing she's been tailing him all along, but their childish squabble is interrupted by a foreboding rustle in the grass. Nonoa calls for her father as a massive shadow looms over them. Crest panics, terrified of the trouble he might face for leading her into danger. Then it appears, the Greed Grizzly, a mountain of fury and muscle. The beast looms over the two children, its presence suffocating the forest. Cress screams that it's not human, a realization Nonoa seems to have already grasped. With eyes glowing white, the creature unleashes a roar that shakes the world. Cress is frozen in fear, collapsing to the ground. Yet Nonoa appears unfazed, much to Cress's frantic disbelief. The boy's instincts scream at him to flee before they both become a meal. Instead of running, Nonoa lets out a fierce roar of her own. The 4-year-old stands firm, challenging a beast 10 times her size. The Greed Grizzly is unimpressed, its eyes glowing with lethal intent. Crest can only watch as his courage completely abandons him. His mind races, aware that they are hopelessly outmatched. But then his hand brushes against something familiar, a small wooden staff. With a rush of adrenaline, Cress finds his feet, ready to defend Nonoa. With all his strength, Cress unleashes his most powerful spell, a fireball. It detonates on impact, striking the grizzly with the force of a party popper. Nonoa can only stare, her face a perfect blend of shock and disappointment. Cress yells at her to run and find her father while he distracts the beast. But his magic only provokes the creature, which brings a massive claw down on him. The boy is frozen in place, the shadow of death looming over him. He can't even grasp the speed of the attack, his mind blank with fear. He desperately attempts to cast a shield spell, his final line of defense. But it's too late. The grizzly's eyes promise nothing but a swift, brutal end. Until a blur of motion intercepts the blow as Zaid appears to shield the boy. Zaid's arm meets the grizzly's claw, halting the attack dead in its tracks. He stands firm, an unyielding barrier, taking the full brunt of the impact. While Cress is paralyzed in tearful disbelief, Nonoa cheers for her father's grand entrance. The greedy grizzly recoils, shocked that its strike was so effortlessly countered. Its astonishment swiftly morphs into uncontrollable fury. The two titans clash, a savage exchange of raw might. Zaid is forced back, yet he stands resolute against the barrage. The grizzly starts to waver, its breath labored and body quaking. Zaid's eyes blaze with determination. He's made up his mind. This battle ends now. He delivers a single crushing punch that lands with devastating finality. The grizzly's eye shatters, a testament to the sheer force of the strike. Its colossal form disintegrates into dust, the threat eliminated in one blow. Zaid turns to the children, his only worry being their safety. Cress remains on the ground, struggling to comprehend that he's been rescued. Yet his relief is swiftly overshadowed by a wave of crushing, tearful embarrassment. The young elf realizes he was so frightened that he completely lost his composure. Later, Cress's clothes hang to dry by a fire near the river. The boy stands in the water, trying to wash away his shame and humiliation. He murmurs that he's a disgrace, feeling further from his dream of strength. So much for being a stoic warrior. Zaid approaches, breaking the silence with a straightforward question. Why did he follow him? Crest stands wrapped in a towel, unable to meet Zaid's eyes. He finally confesses that he wanted to be strong, just like the orcs before him. He views Zaid as the ultimate guardian, a bastion of strength for his daughter. With his father gone, he feels it's now his responsibility to protect his family. Zaid can only stare, puzzled by the request to become his apprentice. Guess he's not hiring. But Cress's determination crumbles, insisting it's impossible for someone like him. Tears flow down his cheeks as he calls himself a pathetic coward who wets himself. But Zaid interrupts his self-loathing, stating he doesn't see it that way at all. The boy looks up, completely taken aback by the unexpected reply. Zaid's gaze is piercing as he reminds Cress of one crucial truth. He protected Nonoa. Nonoa excitedly praises Cress, completely in awe of his fireball. Yet Cress remains disheartened, convinced he ultimately achieved nothing. But Zaid clarifies that a man's true strength lies not in power, but in courage. The boy looks up, his entire perspective shifting in an instant. He places a hand on the boy's head, genuinely thanking him for safeguarding his daughter. He tells Cress to stop lurking and just come over to play next time. The young elf is moved to tears, his shame replaced by pure happiness. Cress eagerly embraces his new master, a role Zaid never actually advertised. Back in the village, their new sneeze-proof home is finally complete. Zaid stands before the elder and Alicia, his mission officially accomplished. The elder expresses gratitude for his hard work, impressed by his efficiency. Alicia then apologizes for her brother causing so much chaos, but Zaid urges her not to be too harsh, reminding her that Cress is still a young man. Alicia is once again taken aback by his simple yet profound viewpoint. Estelle agrees, vowing to deliver a reprimand that's firm but fair. The elder then proclaims that Zaid's strength is wasted on mundane village tasks. She has a new proposition for him, to become an adventurer in the city. Zaid's mind glitches again, unable to process this sudden shift in career. Their destination is a vibrant human city, a world apart from their tranquil village, and they travel via a high-speed elven-grade teleportation circle. They appear in a flash of light, standing in the heart of a bustling city street. Estelle beams, greeting him as he arrives in the bustling port city of Croft. She shares that it was once a military hub, now transformed into a vibrant trade center. Yet, with wealth and crowds, trouble is always lurking around the corner. As the national army grows weaker from conflict, adventures are essential for maintaining order. Enter Zaid. His new role? To step into the shoes of one of those adventurers. Zaid hesitates, questioning if an orc could truly fit into such a position. But Estelle reassures him, revealing she has a plan to tackle his public image issue. She hands him a specially crafted helmet that completely conceals his identity. Now, as a mysterious armored figure, Zaid is set to embark on his adventure journey. Estelle describes his new identity, a bashful warrior named Shy. Creativity isn't her forte. She cautions him never to take off the helmet, as it hides a horrific war scar. Their first destination is an elven magic shop located in the city's core. Estelle asks him to wait outside while she quickly runs an errand for Alicia. She promises to return shortly and vanishes into the shop. Zaid stands alone, a silent armored giant amidst a throng of busy citizens. He soon realizes that a 7-foot-tall man in a bucket helmet isn't exactly inconspicuous. His gaze is drawn to a ruckus nearby, where a gang of thugs is bothering a young woman. The leader sneers, claiming he's just being friendly. His companions echo his sentiment, demanding she show respect to their boss. The woman recoils as the thug leader grips her chin, her fear evident. He introduces himself as Gino, a B-rank adventurer with an inflated sense of self. He points to a scar on his face, boasting it as a trophy from the Great War. He proclaims he fought to protect people like her, and now expects her gratitude. She stutters her thanks, but tries to explain that she's on a tight schedule. Gino, however, isn't interested in her excuses. He wants her to show appreciation. He leans in for an unwanted kiss, his intentions disturbingly clear. Suddenly, a massive armored hand clamps down on his face, halting him in his tracks. The thug spins around, furious at the unexpected interruption. He finds himself face to face with the silent, towering figure of Zaid. Wrong day to be a creep. Gino is utterly shocked, demanding to know who this armored weirdo is. Zaid disregards him, urging the frightened woman to escape while she can. He loosens his grip, allowing the thugs to stagger back into the street. Gino's crew encircles the silent giant, seeking an explanation for his interference. Zaid taps his helmet as if it's necessary to state the obvious. He calmly points out that the woman clearly wasn't interested in Gino's advances. The public humiliation strikes Gino like a physical blow, his tough facade crumbling. He attempts to bluster his way out, but the crowd's laughter only ignites his fury. With his pride in tatters, Gino draws his sword, ready to retaliate. He unleashes his rage not on Zaid, but on an innocent wooden crate. That'll teach it. The crowd stares at the splintered remains, shocked by his childish outburst. Gino turns to Zaid, warning him not to get too cocky just because of his size. He commands his crew to encircle the silent giant, prepared to escalate the situation. His two lackeys draw their daggers, clearly not the sharpest tools in the shed. Yet Zaid remains utterly still, an immovable, inscrutable iron wall. Just then, Estelle steps out of the shop, demanding to know what's going on. She reprimands Gino, calling his actions a disgrace to all adventurers. Gino can only scowl, his tough guy persona completely unraveling. With a click of his tongue, he begrudgingly sheaths his weapon. He turns and walks away, leaving Estelle to handle the fallout. But Gino can't exit without a parting jab, muttering a vile insult about demi-humans. Estella is left in shock, her face burning with unfiltered fury. With the confrontation behind them, she and Zaid proceed through the city. Estelle expresses regret for abandoning him, questioning if her intervention was unwelcome. However, Zaid confesses that her timing was actually a significant advantage. She beams, thinking he's merely downplaying his own skills. Zaid clarifies that the thug was so feeble he feared he might accidentally kill him. The brutally candid remark sends Estella into a fit of genuine laughter. As they stroll, she inquires if he's truly okay with not responding to the bully. Her demeanor shifts to serious, worried by his calmness in the face of such hostility. Zaid explains that this happens often, especially since the war began. He tells her that if he reacted to every insult, he'd never find tranquility. Their next destination is the Croft branch of the Adventurers Guild. They receive a cheerful greeting as they enter the guild hall. A man with a notable mustache welcomes them, having anticipated their arrival. He explains their urgent need for assistance and that they've been waiting for this new recruit. He then realizes this must be the individual from Alicia's report, Zaid, who took down the bandit leader. The man sizes him up, noting his extraordinary physique despite the absence of magic. He jokes that Zaid resembles an orc or a troll, if only he knew. He gets straight to the point, asking why Zaid wishes to become an adventurer. Zaid shares his straightforward motivation. He has a 4-year-old daughter to support. The guildmaster inquires about his wife, but Zaid reveals she has passed away. The man is taken aback, questioning if Zaid will feel lonely without his child. Estelle interjects, clarifying that Zaid won't be residing in the city. She'll be his personal teleportation service. The guildmaster agrees that commuting isn't an issue and starts the paperwork. But there's one final matter. His expression changes, his gaze sharpening and calculating. Estelle senses the shift, a bead of sweat forming on her forehead. The guildmaster asks if Zaid would be open to a formal interview. He points out the obvious dilemma. He can't very well interview a man in a bucket. Estelle's plan encounters its first major hurdle, as Zaid's secret identity is already in jeopardy. Zaid sticks to the script, claiming he's simply too shy to take off the helmet. The guildmaster and Estelle can only stare at the towering figure before them. The guildmaster completely loses it, erupting into uncontrollable laughter. He finds the notion of a bashful giant utterly hilarious, calling Zaid an intriguing character. With that, he announces that Zaid has officially passed the interview. Well, that was simple. However, there's still the issue of a practical exam to demonstrate his strength. He proposes a mock battle with Alicia, an idea Estelle eagerly agrees to. But before she can finish, a voice interrupts, telling them to hold on. A new adventurer emerges from the shadows, his expression dripping with arrogance. He offers to be Zaid's opponent, asserting that a fight with Alicia wouldn't be a true test. Estelle recognizes him as Gino, the same thug from the street. The guildmaster ponders the suggestion, ultimately agreeing to the new arrangement. The city's clock tower signals the passage of time as the stage is set. In the guild's courtyard, the two challengers stand opposite each other, practice swords in hand. Janus smirks, his arrogance practically radiating as he sizes up the silent giant. Zaid remains completely still, his helmeted gaze betraying nothing of his thoughts. The guildmaster lays down the rules, reminding them this is merely a mock battle. With a decisive chop of his hand, he officially starts the match. Gino bursts into action, charging forward with a fierce battle cry. He closes the gap in an instant while Zaid stands like a statue, utterly unfazed. Estelle watches with a confident grin, certain Gino is no match for an orc. Yet her face softens, wishing Zaid might show him some mercy. Gino launches a series of strikes, his sword clanging ineffectively against Zaid. The giant in armor remains unfazed, enduring the onslaught without retreating. The guildmaster and Estelle stare in shock as Gino fails to inflict any damage. At last, Zaid lifts his weapon, his patience seemingly exhausted. With a single fluid motion, he deflects the attack, sending Gino off balance. The thug's smug grin disappears, replaced by sheer disbelief. Zaid swings his sword down not to attack, but to ridicule the thug's weak stance. He tilts his head, as if questioning whether this is truly the best the guild can muster. Estelle observes, asking Zaid if he's facing any difficulties, but Zaid worries he might actually injure his opponent if he fights back. Estelle is a flustered wreck, while the guild master completely misinterprets the scene. Gino regains his composure, dismissing the silent giant as a mere block of wood. He scoffs, claiming a coward like Zaid has no right to call himself an adventurer. Clutching his sword, he proclaims that this is beyond just a simple test. He leaps high, bringing his blade down with all his might. The sword strikes Zaid's helmet with a thunderous clang, yet the armored giant stands firm, absorbing the blow without a scratch. Estelle and the guildmaster can only watch in terror, pleading for the fight to cease. Estelle yells that he doesn't need to defeat Gino, just demonstrate his strength. However, the powerful strike has left a thin crack down the middle of his helmet. With his disguise compromised, Zaid removes the helmet, revealing his true identity to the frightened thug. His face is serious, his secret identity now laid bare before the entire guild. But his thoughts are consumed by one thing, the smiling face of his daughter. He recalls her cheers, her unwavering faith in his remarkable strength. With that memory, he casually discards the wooden practice sword. He takes a single step forward, the ground cracking beneath the weight of his presence. Gino trembles, finally grasping the monster he has provoked. The thug tries to keep up his bravado, asking if Zaid still wants to continue. Yeah, he definitely does. Gino unleashes a frantic barrage of strikes against the silent giant, but each hit lands with the force of a gentle tap. Zaid seems completely unfazed by the pathetic onslaught. The wooden practice sword can't withstand the pressure and shatters entirely. Gino is left with nothing but a broken hilt and a crushed ego. He gasps for breath, his mind struggling to accept what just occurred. His frustration quickly morphs into pure, desperate rage. He reaches for a real weapon, a dagger tucked at his side. With a final scream, he lunges and drives the blade into Zaid's chest. The guildmaster can only watch in horror, realizing the thug has sealed his own fate. Gino unleashes a frantic, fiery assault, screaming in fury. The blast engulfs Zaid, who remains completely unaffected by the explosion. The guildmaster is left speechless, realizing the thug didn't even leave a mark. Zaid finally strikes back, grabbing the terrified adventurer by his collar. With his helmet back on, Zaid calmly declares that he understands now. Gino dangles helplessly, utterly confused by the giant's strange words. He lifts the thug high above his head, ready to end this little conflict, and with a single powerful throw, he sends Gino soaring into the sky. Team Rocket would be impressed. The thug's mind finally catches up, realizing he's currently airborne. He disappears into a pinpoint of light, his journey seemingly far from over. Gino's mind struggles to grasp his sudden violent ascent. He rockets above the city, a human missile with a dreadful view. The thug shrieks in sheer horror, pleading for the flight to cease. He gazes down at the cobblestone roads waiting far below. The ground rushes up to greet him at a terrifying pace. He dives headfirst, his brief, miserable life flashing before him. His cries resonate through the air as gravity claims its victim. But just before he hits, a familiar hand yanks him from doom, a unique way to teach a lesson. Zaid dangles him upside down, asking if he wants another go. Gino is utterly broken, his mind short-circuiting from the ordeal. Gino lies convulsing on the ground, his psyche completely shattered by the event. The guildmaster, however, finds the entire scene absolutely hilarious. He admires Zaid's raw strength, questioning if he's even human to throw someone that high. Zaid stands there, a silent, imposing presence of a very bashful human. The guildmaster and Estelle share a laugh, completely enchanted by their new member. Yet his amusement shifts to a professional evaluation. Zaid's power and defense are impeccable. He states that having someone this dependable is a tremendous relief for the guild. In fact, he already envisions a task for the two of them. Zaid and Estelle listen closely, their first official mission about to commence. Their assignment is straightforward: safeguard a merchant to the royal capital. The guildmaster reveals their client is the powerful St. Cross Church. He emphasizes that this mission carries high stakes, requiring the guild's full backing. Their destination is a grand estate, a testament to the church's vast influence. Meanwhile, back in the village, Zaid and Nonoa are interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Noah peeks out timidly, uncertain about the two elves at their door. Alicia and Estelle whisper, speculating if they've stumbled upon a burglar. Wait, what? Zaid gently pats his daughter's head, gearing her up for a crucial mission. He explains that people are facing a tough choice, purchasing Volume 1. He asks his daughter if she can assist them in making the right choice. Nonoa eagerly agrees, ready to launch her own promotional campaign. And scene. Nonoa stands at attention, a tiny soldier awaiting her orders. She announces the release of Kozure Orc Volume 1 on August 12th. Yes, this is really happening. With a deep bow, she formally requests the two elves for their support. The pitch is incredibly effective. Alicia and Estelle are utterly overwhelmed by the cuteness. They commend her fantastic sales pitch, reminding everyone it's available in both print and digital. Estelle is so touched that she vows to buy 10 copies right then and there. Nonoa beams, her adorable marketing campaign a total triumph. Even the usually stoic Alicia can't resist, her face flushed with delight. She's completely flustered, her mind short-circuiting from the overwhelming charm. But her thoughts snap back to business, pondering what special bonuses the physical copy might offer. Her hand clenches into a fist, her determination solidifying into a new kind of mission. She declares that she's heard of store-exclusive bonuses and must investigate at once. Her expression radiates intense focus. Her priorities are now crystal clear. The scene then shifts to a new, formidable figure, a powerful boar man. His eyes shine with a quiet intensity, a true warrior. Later, their escort mission kicks off, a lone carriage traversing a forest road. Inside, Zaid is wedged between two beastkin, clearly not a comfortable ride. They meet their client, a merchant whose anxious expression reveals everything. He details the peril. A fire dragon has taken residence in the mountains, already attacking a caravan. The news shocks Zaid, who wonders where such a formidable beast originated. The merchant explains these dragons were once used in warfare but became feral after the conflict ended. Their task is to clear the path for a bishop's arrival, but their target is a massive S-rank beast 20 meters long. The other adventurers are gearing up for a hunt, but they have only a week to prepare. Estelle is taken aback. It seems the guildmaster omitted some crucial information. She outlines their current plan: avoid the lair and establish defenses along the way. Zaid stays quiet, his cracked helmet concealing his thoughts as he absorbs the grim situation. Estelle looks at him, sensing his deep contemplation. She inquires about his thoughts, worried by his silence. Zaid finally speaks, getting straight to the point. Should he kill it or just scare it off? Estelle clarifies that securing the route is sufficient. They don't have to eliminate the beast. Estelle explains that dragons possess intelligence. Once driven away, they won't return. However, she concedes that a complete subjugation would be ideal, though nearly impossible within their time frame. Zaid simply nods at the plan, his expression hidden beneath his helmet. With their direction set, the two adventurers ride toward the mountain pass. Estelle glances back, wondering if even an orc feels a twinge of fear before confronting a dragon. But their journey is abruptly interrupted as the horses rear up in panic. In the distance, a thick plume of black smoke ominously rises into the sky. Estelle's eyes widen in dread. The smoke is billowing from their base camp. Without a moment's pause, she yanks the reins, urging the horses into a frantic gallop. They arrive to a scene of utter destruction. The camp lies in ruins. The sight is one of complete devastation, with bodies scattered across the wreckage. Estelle can only stare in shock, struggling to comprehend the massacre before her. She springs into action, shouting for them to locate and assist the injured. The horned beastkin warrior stands vigilant, his gaze sweeping the battlefield. Estelle rushes to a fallen adventurer, hoping to find any survivors. The man is barely conscious, mistaking her for Alicia as she prepares to heal him. With his last ounce of strength, he grabs her arms, urging her to flee. He warns her that the beast is still nearby, sending chills down her spine. A monstrous shadow looms over her, reflected in her wide, terrified eyes. The fire dragon reveals itself, a massive embodiment of muscle and fury standing right behind her. The fire dragon looms over the fallen, its gaze locked onto a still figure. Its eyes radiate a cold, predatory intelligence, a true hunter in its domain. Estelle realizes it appeared silently, using advanced magic to conceal its presence. This is no ordinary beast. It's a war machine trained for slaughter. Its eyes blaze as it prepares to unleash its devastating power. Estelle conjures a desperate shield, her only line of defense. The dragon's maw opens wide, ready to incinerate everything in its path. But she knows instantly that her magic won't suffice to stop it. She can only watch, paralyzed by the certainty of her impending doom, until a familiar armored figure shoves her out of harm's way. Looks like Zaid's finally taking action. But instead of a still, the dragon's jaws snap shut around Zaid himself. The beast struggles to swallow, its mouth forced open by the orc's incredible strength. Estelle can only scream his name, horrified as she watches her protector being consumed. Yet a muffled voice from within the dragon's maw calmly reassures her that he's okay. With a surge of power, Zaid pries the colossal jaws apart from the inside. Estelle watches in disbelief as he steps out completely unharmed. Guess he's not easy to digest. The fire dragon's eyes narrow, filled with pure, unrestrained fury. It rears back, gathering energy for a devastating breath attack. Estelle reacts immediately, summoning a powerful force shield to protect them. The beam of raw energy crashes into her magical barrier, a desperate defense against the beast's wrath. The shield fractures and shatters under the overwhelming force of the dragon's fire. Estelle fights to maintain her grip, her unique barrier, the sole thing preserving their lives. The dragon observes, its assault seemingly effective in shattering their defenses. Yet Estelle's panic rises as she realizes the creature is gearing up for another strike. At that moment, Zaid positions himself in front of her, acting as a human shield. He simply instructs her to let him handle it. Just a dragon, no biggie. Estelle can only gaze, utterly perplexed by his unfathomable confidence. The dragon releases another wave of pure, destructive energy, but Zaid remains unmoved, absorbing the full brunt of the blast. The dragon stands dumbfounded, unable to comprehend what it's witnessing. Estelle is in total disbelief, realizing he just negated the attack with sheer strength. The dragon glares at its foe, its fury now tinged with confusion. Zaid tightens his fist, his helmeted stare locked onto his opponent. He channels all his might into one powerful, decisive strike. For the first time, the bee seems to grasp it has made a grave error. It opens its mouth for a frantic counter, but it's far too late. Zaid leaps skyward, a blur of strength and resolve. His fist collides with the dragon's jaw, creating a truly earth-shattering impact. The creature's head begins to disintegrate upon contact, unable to endure the force. The dragon emits a final scream as its form crumbles into nothingness. One Punch Man, indeed. The last remnants of the dragon's head dissolve into shimmering particles. Its massive, headless body starts its long descent back to Earth. The tail crashes into the ground, rattling the very mountainside. Yet the horned warrior stands beside it, as if claiming victory for himself. Zaid glances at him, his helmet concealing a world of irritation. He tells the man to stop picking on a tiny lizard he's pretending is a kill. Suddenly, an even larger dragon lands before them with a thunderous roar. But its roar quickly shifts into a pitiful, high-pitched squeal of fear. The S-rank beast retreats, wanting no part of the man who just defeated its ally. Estelle can only watch, stammering that he scared it off without even moving. Later, the adventurers establish a new camp to rest and recuperate. With the immediate danger past, they celebrate their survival with a feast. The other adventurers raise their glasses to their new hero, astonished by the rookie's strength. The horned warrior encourages everyone to enjoy themselves. They have plenty of provisions. A female warrior offers Zaid some food, suggesting he can finally remove his helmet. But Zaid hesitates, his cracked helmet a reminder of his delicate secret. Estelle quickly interjects, explaining that Zaid is just incredibly shy, still sticking to the script, I see. Zaid covers his ears in embarrassment as the others try to persuade him to eat. But across the fire, the boar man observes him with an inscrutable expression. Pastel's cover story crumbles as she screams Zaid's name in utter shock. The other adventurers stare in disbelief, one pointing as he utters the word orc. Yet the boar man calmly speaks up, a piece of food still in his grasp. He casually notes that people often say he and Zaid resemble each other. The adventurer's shock swiftly transforms into complete confusion. Then the entire camp bursts into relieved, uproarious laughter. They joke about how startled they were, dismissing the notion of a demon aiding them. One even recalls Alicia using the term, concluding it must just be a nickname. Estelle sweats bullets, laughing along and affirming the convenient misunderstanding. The campfire crackles, the tension of the night finally fading with the flames. Later, while the others rest, the boarman sits alone, silently watching over the camp. The boarman enjoys a quiet drink, his watch finally coming to an end. He breaks the quiet, asking Estelle if she can spare a moment to chat. Estelle glances over, slightly taken aback by his unexpected presence. The boar warrior's face is serious. This conversation is far from casual. They sit side by side, enjoying a peaceful moment by the flickering fire. Estelle expresses her sincere gratitude, relieved that no lives were lost because of him. She reflects that a dragon is nothing compared to the man who faced a legendary hero. Zaid stays quiet, his eyes lost in the shadows beyond the campsite, not in the mood for talk. Concern crosses Estelle's face as she asks why he appeared so troubled earlier. Zaid finally meets her gaze, his eyes heavy with unspoken thoughts. The Boar Man observes from a distance, savoring a drink by the flames. Zaid shares his straightforward principle: eliminate enemies who can't be reasoned with. However, he admits that military dragons can grasp simple commands. Estelle is utterly shocked. He was genuinely trying to avoid conflict. He concludes by stating that unnecessary killings set a poor example for his daughter. She gazes at him, her view of orcs shifting dramatically once more. The tension dissipates as she bursts into a bright, genuine laugh. She takes a sip herself, completely swayed by his reasoning. A dad's got to be a dad, even in a dragon fight. Her face radiates pure admiration for the man beside her. With their mission accomplished, they head back to the lively streets of Croft. A sharply dressed man exuding authority waits on a city street. A carriage rolls in, its drivers displaying the emblem of the St. Cross Church. The man greets the carriage warmly, welcoming the long-distance travelers. A figure descends, their arrival clearly significant. It's Bishop Bersal, a high-ranking church official, staff in hand. He offers a warm, almost grandfatherly smile to his host. The two men exchange courteous greetings, a formal encounter on a public street. The bishop expresses his appreciation for the personal welcome from the city's mayor. The mayor remarks on the bishop's humility, surprised he would come personally for a minor matter. He gets right to it, inquiring if there's a significant reason for this visit. The bishop reveals he's delivering a message directly from the new pope. It's a fresh interpretation of scripture, and his smile is anything but pious. Meanwhile, in the village, plans are being made for Nonoa's future. The elder asks Zaid if she can instruct Nonoa in magic while he's away. The Boar warrior from their previous mission is also present for the conversation. The elder mentions that Azdaria's daughter, Nonoha, possesses immense latent magical potential. She believes it's wise to teach her control sooner rather than later. The Boar warrior agrees, trusting the child to the elder's guidance. Thus, Nonoa and Crest embark on their first lesson with the powerful elven matriarch. Nono begins with the basics, asking what this magic thing really is. Crest explains magic, using his own fireball against the bear as a perfect illustration. The elder describes it as the ability to reshape the world with one's will. She demonstrates by filling the air with whimsical floating cloud creatures. Nonoa is utterly enchanted, eager to try her hand at magic. The elder agrees, stating their first lesson is to unlock Nonoa's potential. She asks Nonoa to fetch a potted plant, the initial step in her training. The elder instructs her to close her eyes and visualize the energy within her. Nonoa holds the pot ready to follow her teacher's guidance. She focuses with all her strength, her face reflecting intense concentration. The elder then instructs her to channel that sensation from her hands into the pot. Nonoa shuts her eyes tight, pouring every bit of focus into the pot. A soft glow starts to radiate from her, swirling around the little child. In a heartbeat, a small sapling shoots up from the ground, growing right before their eyes. The elder beams, encouraging her to envision a stunning flower blossoming. Nono's eyes snap open, a rush of energy flowing through her. A halo of pure magical energy hovers above her head. Looks like she's a natural. The elder and Crest can only gawk, utterly astonished by the spectacle. An astonishing surge of power radiates from the small girl. The sapling bursts into a stunning bouquet of fully bloomed lilies. And, just like that, the entire clearing transforms into a sea of flowers. So much for a straightforward first lesson. Cress is completely stunned, exclaiming that she made flowers bloom everywhere. Nonoa questions if she truly did that, and the elder calmly affirms it. The elder clarifies that magic is the ability to impose your imagination on reality. She instructs Nonoa to examine her own hands for evidence. Nonoa notices a shimmering light rising from her palms. The elder explains that this power is now part of her, ready for her to wield. She inquires what type of magic the young girl wishes to attempt first. Nono's response is straightforward and heartfelt. She wants to heal the ill. The elder is completely taken aback by this unexpected answer. A shadow of sorrow crosses her face, her eyes closing in deep contemplation. The elder feels deeply touched by the child's selfless desire. She recalls Nono as her mother, a warrior she only taught to fight. Thus, she consents to teach Nonoa the most basic healing magic first. Meanwhile, in a different village, life carries on at its quiet, steady rhythm. An elderly elf woman rests by the roadside, her body racked with pain. A younger man with a scarred visage approaches, concern etched on his face. He inquires if her chronic back pain is flaring up again. She confesses it's so severe she can hardly walk to fetch medicine. The man kindly offers to carry her the rest of the distance, but she graciously declines, insisting she can manage after a brief rest. Their stroll is interrupted by a familiar face who recognizes Nonoa as the orc's daughter. The elderly woman smiles through her discomfort, a gentle spirit worn down by time. Nono's eyes widen with worry, asking if the woman is unwell. The woman explains that even after 2 centuries, her body is riddled with aches. Nonoa exhales in relief, glad it's nothing serious. Kid logic prevails. The woman is utterly perplexed by the child's odd reassurance. Cress proudly announces that Nonoa has just begun her healing magic training. Nono's face brightens as she eagerly offers to test her new abilities. The woman is touched by the offer, but doubts a child's magic can aid her. Yet Nonoa remains undeterred, placing her hands on the woman's back to start. Nonoa states this is merely a trial run, a complimentary sample of her healing. The woman is amused by her confidence and consents to let her try. Nonoa gently grasps the woman's hand, her expression filled with focused intent. The scarred man still looks worried, asking her not to worsen the pain. But Cress reassures him, stating the elder herself praised Nono's skills. Nonoa offers a sweet, determined smile, ready to commence the treatment. A soft, magical glow begins to radiate from their joined hands. She shuts her eyes, reciting a simple incantation to alleviate the pain. The woman smiles, the gesture reminding her of playing doctor in her youth. But the light intensifies, signaling this is no ordinary child's game. A brilliant flash of light erupts from Nonoa's hands, startling everyone nearby. The old woman's eyes widen, sensing the powerful magic flowing through her. The man with scars yells in alarm, fearing the child's magic has gone awry. A peculiar mist seems to rise from her, as if the pain is being expelled. She can only gaze, utterly speechless at the unexpected transformation. With a surge of energy, she leaps, proclaiming her 30 years of pain has disappeared. She revels in the lightness, a feeling she had long forgotten. The 2 men can only stare, their minds struggling to comprehend the sheer impossibility. The scarred man glances down at Nonoa, his face betraying no emotion. Yet Nonoa has already spotted her next patient, eager to heal his old injury. The man brushes off her offer, stating the scar is an old war wound that's already healed. But before he can finish, another dazzling flash of light envelops him. He touches his face in disbelief. The scar he's had for 7 years has vanished completely. Cress beams with pride, bragging about Nonoa's remarkable abilities. The man proclaims that a legendary healer has emerged in their village, thanking Nonoa for the miracle. He can't stop grinning, transformed into a new man thanks to the tiny healer's magic. But Nonoa's work isn't finished. She shifts her focus to another villager. The young girl extends her hands, eager for her own miracle. The scarred man observes, puzzled by this new turn of events. The girl beams, cheerfully requesting payment for Nonoa's services. The free trial is officially over. The scarred man sweats as the girl clarifies that the free trial was limited to 1 person. With no cash on hand, he offers a single piece of candy as payment. Noa happily savors the rewards of her first successful paid healing session. Crest admires her power, acknowledging that elven healing magic is incredibly challenging. No, she corrects him, a smug grin appearing on her face. She wags her finger, declaring it's Professor Nonoa now. Crest can only blush, finding her newfound confidence utterly charming. But his admiration is interrupted by a sudden gasp of surprise. Both children freeze, their eyes wide with astonishment. They've come across a very round, very fluffy bird in the grass. Apparently, that's a big deal here. Nonoa points out that even in the woods, there's another patient in need. Crest quickly realizes the tiny bird must have fallen from its nest. He looks up at the towering tree, confirming his suspicion. Nonoa approaches the fallen creature, her new mission clear. She offers a reassuring smile, ready to cast her pain-begone spell. The little bird can only gaze up, chirping helplessly at its rescuers. Its desperate cries for help resonate through the tranquil forest clearing. Nonoa assures the bird that she'll safely return it home. Professor Nonoa is on the case. But Cress volunteers to tackle the perilous climb up the tree himself. Suddenly, a small hand grips a mysterious scepter topped with a gem. But Cress has his own magic, casting a levitation spell with his scepter. He gently floats up toward the nest, a one-boy bird rescue operation. He successfully returns the chick to its mother, urging it to go home. But the mother bird responds with a furious, ear-piercing squawk. Cress is completely taken aback by the hostile reception. The mother bird begins to viciously attack him in the tree. So much for gratitude. Nonoa can only watch from below, bewildered by the sudden aggression. Cress cries out as he's relentlessly pecked, pleading with the furious bird to stop. He lands back on the ground, explaining that the mother bird attacked him. Nonoa gazes at the chick, a grim realization dawning on her. It wasn't lost. It was abandoned. Nonoa can only stare, her mind struggling to grasp the harsh reality. Cress shares the brutal truth of nature. Weak or ill chicks often face abandonment. He warns her that putting the bird back in the nest would seal its fate. Nonoa remains quiet, the burden of the choice weighing heavily on her small frame. Her face hardens, a newfound determination shining through. Eventually, Zaid makes his way back home after completing his mission. The Boer warrior, who seems to have accompanied him, strides through the village. He calls out to Zaid, announcing their return to his daughter. Nonoa beams at her father, holding a brand new feathered companion. The Boer warrior can only gawk, utterly perplexed by the new addition. Nonoa proudly presents her new feathered friend to the Boer warrior. He leans closer, curious about the tiny bird resting on her head. She shares that the chick was abandoned and has nowhere else to go. With hopeful eyes, she pleads to keep it. The Boer warrior looks down, his face a mask of unreadable emotions. At last, he speaks, agreeing that it's a splendid idea. Nonoa is ecstatic, though her mention of grilled chicken raises eyebrows. He decides to save that discussion for when she's older. Thus, the little bird becomes part of their unconventional family. Life continues, filled with bath times, bedtime stories, and quiet reflections. Night falls over the village, a serene scene hiding the inner turmoil. Yet inside, the Boer warrior's face is etched with worry. Noah finds him by his bedside, inquiring about his troubles. But it's Nonoa who feels the heartbreak, tears brimming in her eyes. She reveals that her new friend, the little bird, is growing weaker. Her healing magic, effective on others, fails to help this time. He listens intently as the small girl pours out her feelings. He falls silent, grasping the significance of this delicate life. Looks like Professor Nonoa faces her first true test. With no alternatives, they seek the one person who might provide answers. They reach the elder's home, presenting the sickly bird for her insight. The elder inspects the tiny bird, her face heavy with sorrowful certainty. Nanoha begs for her assistance, admitting her own magic has failed. But the matriarch closes her eyes, stating there's nothing she can do. Nonoa is left speechless, struggling to grasp her teacher's words. The elder delivers the harsh reality. The little bird has already passed. Nonoa's world crumbles, her mind refusing to accept this grim truth. The elder explains that healing can mend wounds, but not revive a lost life. Nonoa listens, her first lesson in magic morphing into a lesson on its boundaries. Through her tears, she asks if this means the chick will finally reunite with its mother. The Boer warrior can only observe, his face a canvas of silent grief. Nanoha asks, her voice trembling, if she'll never see her friend again. The elder gently places the lifeless bird back into Nonoa's hands. She explains that it's now Nonoa's responsibility to give it a proper farewell. The weight of this final duty settles heavily on the little girl's shoulders. Tears fill her eyes as the finality of the moment dawns on her. She finally breaks down, her cries echoing the pain of her first loss. Yet through her tears, she discovers a quiet strength, ready to say goodbye. They construct a small grave, a final resting place for her tiny companion. The Boer warrior and Nonoa kneel together, offering a silent prayer. She bids her final farewell, a somber conclusion to a harsh but vital lesson. The Boer warrior walks alone through the village beneath a starry night. Nonoa leans heavily, weariness from the day's grief weighing him down. Tears still glistening, she softly calls out for her father. The warrior glances over, curious about the little girl's distress. She inquires if he felt sadness when her mother passed. The question lingers, a heavy silence enveloping them. He gazes at the stars, confessing the pain was profound. Nonoa then wonders if his sorrow stemmed from his love for her. He nods, explaining his grief matched the depth of his affection. With newfound insight, they continue their quiet journey home. Nono's eyes reflect the deep sorrow of her first true loss. She realizes love and grief are intertwined, inseparable. Finding solace in her father's embrace, she clings to him. Lesson learned. The night unfolds, bringing a quiet conclusion to a harsh day. Meanwhile, the elven elder sits in solitude, deep in thought. Her face shows concern, her mind racing with a startling insight. She realizes Nono as Halo represents a power that could defy death. At the same time, a new band of adventurers nears a dark, ominous mine. Standing at the entrance, countless eyes peer back from the void. Not a good sign. Suddenly, a swarm of undead bursts forth from the shadows, craving the living. The adventurers charge in, only to find the mine swarming with the undead. Alicia unsheathes her sword, her face steeling as she readies for combat. She unleashes a torrent of holy flames, carving a path through the dark. The undead wail as the sacred fire engulfs them. Estelle spots their chance, calling for Zaid to act. Zaid responds by lifting a boulder the size of a small house. Naturally, with a grunt, he prepares to seal their fate. He throws the massive stone, sending it crashing toward the mine's entrance. The boulder slams into place, an unconventional but effective seal. The other adventurers cheer, declaring the monster's lair officially shut down. They celebrate, noting how efficient missions are with Zaid on board. When offered drinks, Zaid declines, saying his daughter is waiting. His comrades smile, acknowledging his steadfast commitment to family. Estelle encourages everyone to head home to their families for a change. The scene shifts to the grand office of the mayor of Croft City. Inside, the mayor sits at his desk, radiating stress and fatigue. A maid stands before him, her face showing quiet, professional concern. She confirms his fears, stating the situation has indeed worsened. The mayor ponders the new pope, realizing the rumors of his radicalism were mild. He guides Bishop Bersal down the corridor, the source of his political troubles. The two men sit for a formal yet tense conversation in the mayor's office. The mayor questions the bishop's use of demi-human, asking if he means elves and dwarves. He points out that this new label is highly discriminatory. Bishop Bersal simply sips his tea, unfazed by the mayor's ethical concerns. He reveals the Pope's decree. Elves and dwarves are now classified as demons. The mayor can only stare, his face paling at the shocking revelation. His mind races to grasp the terrifying implications of this new doctrine. The bishop notes Croft's close ties with its elven community. This visit has a clear purpose. He conveys the Pope's worry that the city is becoming a haven for heretics. The mayor panics, desperately trying to steer the conversation away. He retorts, insisting the bishop's claims are utterly impossible. He questions the new pope's basis for such an extreme ruling. The bishop's response is straightforward. Their disturbing looks provide all the evidence needed. So much for a theological discussion. The mayor can only gawk, utterly shocked by the absurdity of the reasoning. The bishop concedes that the former pope had a different view, but that was an error. He then presents a chance for redemption. If Croft captures the elves and delivers them, they will be forgiven. The captured elves will be compelled to admit their demonic essence before a public execution. He shifts the responsibility onto the mayor, urging him to demonstrate his faith through this act. The mayor's fist crashes onto the table, his patience finally breaking. He yells that they are not demons. They are allies from the great human-demon war. He refuses to turn against his allies for such a ludicrous reason. Yet the bishop's gaze remains icy, completely unmoved by the moral indignation. He leans closer, his previously calm demeanor shifting to something threatening. The bishop inquires if the mayor is suggesting that God's word is ridiculous. The mayor flinches, a bead of sweat marking his fear. The bishop seizes him, shouting that the pope's command is unchangeable. His expression contorts into one of fanatical fury as he labels the mayor a heretic. The mayor panics, frantically trying to reaffirm his beliefs and retract his statements. The bishop acknowledges that many townsfolk have friends among elves and dwarves. He distorts the mayor's words, asserting this is the source of the people's fear. The bishop's grin is unsettling as he realizes he has the mayor trapped. He recognizes the anguish of betraying friends and allies, yet he argues that this very betrayal is what gives the act its significance. The mayor can only stare, utterly perplexed by the insane rationale. The bishop then recounts a tale of a saint whose faith was tested by God, a man who lost everything yet never cursed his creator. He preaches that the toughest trials are the ones that inflict the most suffering, and they should celebrate this pain, for it is the path of the faithful. The mayor is left speechless, sweating under the weight of this religious fervor. The bishop leans closer, his voice a low threat as he asks if he's clear. The mayor sits defeated at his desk, the church's decree weighing heavily on him. His maid interjects, reminding him that the elves are not demons, but healers providing medicine for the town. He knows she's correct, but his hands are tied. They're facing the St. Cross Church itself. The church's power has surged since the war, overshadowing even kings. To oppose the church now is to become an enemy of all humanity. No pressure. He stands from his desk, admitting this choice is far beyond a mere mayor's authority. With determination, he commands a carriage be readied for a journey to the capital. He will seek the king's judgment, hoping for a fair outcome. Meanwhile, life in the elven village carries on, blissfully unaware of the impending storm.